Good day everyone, I am Vary Tubanya from BSB HRM 14N and I will be discussing about Lesson 10 Recognizing Employees' Contribution with Pay. The scope of our discussion today, the first one is how does pay influences individual employees. We will also describe the fundamental pay programs for recognizing employees' contributions. And lastly, I will explain the advantages and disadvantages of the following pay programs. But before we proceed, what comes in your mind if you heard the word pay? And also, how giving pay to your employees affects their overall performance to the company? All of that will be answered on our first topic. How does pay influence individual employees? In this topic, there are three theories that explain the effect of compensation on individuals. The first theory is the reinforcement theory, which according to Edward D. Thomdeck's law of effect says that a response followed by a reward is more likely to recur in the future. Meaning, if you experience to get a reward because of your action, it might happen again in the future. He also emphasizes the importance of a person's actual experience of a reward. The next theory was the expectancy theory. It says that it focuses on the link between rewards and behaviors. It also emphasizes expected rather than experienced rewards, meaning an individual will behave or act in a certain way because they are motivated to select a specific behavior over others due to what they expect the result of that selected behavior will be. Under the expectancy theory is the two motivations for employees, which is the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation depends on rewards that flow naturally from work itself, like performing interesting work, meaning it is doing something without any obvious external rewards. You are doing it because it's enjoyable and interesting, rather than because of an outside incentive or pressure to do it, such as a reward or deadline. While the extrinsic motivation depends on rewards, such as pay and benefits, controlled by an external source, meaning it is a reward driven behavior where an employee expects a reward from working. The last theory is the agency theory. It focuses on the divergent interests and goals of the organization stakeholders and the ways that employee compensation can be used to align these interests and goals. Through this theory, it revolves the issues in the relationship between business principals and their agents. Most commonly, that relationship is the one between shareholders as principals and company executives as agents. Under the agency theory is the principal, which is a person who seeks to direct another person's behavior. An example of this is an owner. Next is agent. It is a person who is expected to act on behalf of a principal. An example of this is the managers. On the other hand, there are factors to be considered on which type of contract an organization should use. The following is as follows. The first one is risk aversion. Agents make outcome-oriented contracts less likely. Means an investor who prefers lower returns with known risk rather than higher returns with unknown risk. Outcomes and uncertainty. Profit is an example of an outcome. Agents are less willing to have their pay linked to profits to the extent that there is a risk of low profits. They should therefore prefer a behavior-oriented contract. Job programmability. Jobs become less programmable, less routine outcome-oriented contracts become more likely because monitoring becomes more difficult. Measurable job outcomes. When outcomes are more measurable, outcome-oriented contracts are more likely. Ability to pay. Outcome-oriented contracts contribute to higher compensation costs because of the risk premium. Tradition. A tradition or custom of using or not using outcome-oriented contracts will make such contracts more or less likely. Moving on to our second topic, which is how do pay sorting effects influence labor force composition. It says that using pay to recognize employee contribution has been thought of as a way to influence the behaviors and attitudes of current employees, whereas paid level and benefits have been seen as a way to influence so-called membership behaviors, decisions about whether to join or remain with the organization. In an instance, it is possible that an organization that links to pay performance may attract more high performers than an organization that does not link the two. There may be a similar effect with respect to job retention. This effect on workforce composition is sometimes referred to as a sorting effect. Continuing the analysis, different pay systems appear to attract people with different personality traits and values. Organizations that link pay individual performance may be more likely to attract individualistic and risk-oriented employees, whereas organizations relying more heavily on team rewards are more likely to attract team-oriented employees. The implication is that the design of compensation programs needs to be carefully coordinated with the organization and human resource strategy. Topic 3: Pay for performance programs. In this topic, we will focus on payment method, frequency of payout, ways of measuring performance, performance motivation of employees, attraction of employees, organization culture, cost, management style, and type of work. The first pay program is the merit pay. According to betterteam.com, merit pay or pay performance is a financial incentive where an employee is offered a bonus, increase, or promotion based on work performance as determined by criteria set by the employer. Meaning, an employee will be paid based on his performance. It is also added that merit pay is most common in sales positions as it provides a performance-generated salary based on an employee meeting or exceeding the company's goals. Next is individual incentives. It says that individual incentives refer to incentives given to individual employees for their additional contribution towards the organizational objectives. Like merit pay, individual incentives reward individual performance, but with two important differences. The first is payments are not rolled into base pay. And second, performance is usually measured as physical output. Next is the profit sharing and ownership. Profit sharing plan gives employees a share in their company's profits based on its quarterly or annual earnings. It means that the employee get an additional pay based on the profit earned by the company. Profit sharing has two potential advantages. The first one is it may encourage employees to think more like owners, taking a broad view of what needs to be done to make the organization more effective. The second is because payments do not become part of base pay, but instead are variable pay. Labor costs are automatically reduced during difficult economic times, and wealth is shared during good times. It means that employees will enjoy profit sharing from the company only if the company has a good profit performance. Ownership. Employee ownership is similar to profit sharing in some key respects, such as encouraging employees to focus on the success of the organization as a whole. One way of achieving employee ownership is through stock options, which give employees the opportunity to buy stock at a fixed price, which means an employee can also be an owner if they buy fixed price stock of the company. Employee stock ownership plan. An employee ownership plan that gives employers certain tax and financial advantages when stock is granted to employees. It says that an employee benefit plan gives workers ownership interest in the company. ESOP give the sponsoring company, the selling shareholder, and participants that receive various tax benefits, making them qualified plans. Next is gain sharing. Group incentives and team awards. A gain sharing is a form of compensation based on group or plant performance rather than organization-wide profits that does not become part of the employee's base salary. It is simply a group incentive plan, a pay-for-performance program under which employees as a group earn bonuses for cooperating to improve plant performance. While group incentives and team awards is like an individual incentives tend to measure performance in terms of physical output, whereas team award plans may use a broader range of performance measures like cost savings, successful completion of product design, or meeting deadlines. On the other hand, it is a bonuses or rewards that are given to a specific team or department. Team awards are a similar incentive that might reward certain teams for performance. For the last topic of Lesson 10, the process and context issues. Under this topic is the employee participation in decision making. It says that involvement in the design and implementation of pay policies has been linked to higher pay satisfaction and job satisfaction, presumably because employees have a better understanding of and greater commitment to the policy when they are involved. It means that when employees are involved in making decisions, they gain a professional and personal stake in the organization and its overall success. This commitment leads to increased productivity as employees are actively participating in various aspects of the company and wish to see their efforts succeed overall. If you learned something today, you may answer this essay test by commenting below. That's it. Thank you for watching.